Hey everybody, it's the OMAD Dad. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, a channel that is dedicated to living the OMAD lifestyle or eating just one meal a day. Well, it's been approximately 2 weeks since I made my video post about starting the July No Splurge Challenge. And so I wanted to make a video today as a kind of a check-in to see how all of you guys are doing out there, if we're still on board. If you're still joining me in this month-long challenge to see if we can go the entire month of July without having and utilizing any splurge days in our OMAD plan. We're 2 weeks into it, just about to finish up the second week. I'll give you a little bit of update for me. It's been going really well. Normally the 4th of July would be a pretty good temptation for us because my mother-in-law has a really big family 4th of July party. Now, 4th of July this year was on a Thursday, so that day came and went, and it was just a normal OMAD, and then that Saturday was when we had the big party. One of the benefits for us this year, the way it worked out, was my kids ended up having a late nap, and so by the time we went over to their house, it was very hot. We went right into the pool. I missed most of the appetizer hour. And we sat down outside and we ate, and I had a little bit of a traditional 4th of July burgers, and I had a hot dog and just a couple of sides, but all within a one plate OMAD. No alcohol that day. To me, it was just a little bit too hot outside for alcohol, and pretty much immediately after we started eating, it downpoured on us. So that was the end of the picnic, and it made it pretty easy for me. And then it just went right back into regular OMAD for the rest of the time. But I'd love to hear from you guys to see if you're still with me on the challenge, if you're having any issues, how you feel it is, or how you feel it's going for you, or if you're a newbie, this is a perfect time for you to take this challenge up. Even if you see this video and it's a month that's not July, and you decide to challenge yourself, whatever month it happens to be, that's a great opportunity to do it. I picked this month because July doesn't usually have a ton of holidays. I will say, though, a lot of people tend to go on vacations in July. It's what I'm seeing, especially at my job. But we're already past the big major holiday for July, so that's going to make it exponentially easier. And now that we're 2 weeks in, it should be hitting a nice little stride. Normally, if you're brand new to OMAD, I don't recommend having any splurge days for at least a month. You really want to have a nice solid foundation, a nice solid base, and this is what we're doing. We're going back to basics. You don't have to have a splurge day. It's not like if you don't do splurge days, OMAD doesn't work. It's just that sometimes people use them to get out of a little bit of a stall. Sometimes people have a big party or a celebration. It's a holiday going on, and they want to be able to enjoy it, and it's okay. You can do that. The whole point is getting yourself established into a set routine, and using that and keeping that every single day. And what I found is that now, it's just a really good reminder that not having any splurge days, it makes those OMADs that much easier. I don't really even start to get hungry until about probably, I'd say, 45 minutes to an hour before I plan on having my meal for that day. And that's good. And even when it comes to the hunger, it's not oh my God, I need to shove some food in my mouth right now. No, it's really nice. You have a little bit of a hunger, as you see. People who are new to this, and I've talked about this before, they think that hunger kind of goes on this scale like this, where it just keeps increasing until you're so hungry you're ready to eat paint chips off the wall. But if you do this for any length of time, one thing you'll notice is that hunger kind of comes in these cycles, and it looks more like this. You have these little peaks and valleys. So you'll be coming around, you'll start to feel hungry, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm starting to feel hungry. But if you sit with it and you don't indulge yourself and you give it sometimes just a few minutes, you start to see it's not as bad, and then it dips down to where you're not hungry at all. And then after a little while, maybe a couple hours, usually that's what I find. It's every few hours, especially if you're used to eating every couple of hours by habit, it'll start to peak up again. And it's not like, if you're brand new, it's not like your hunger is going to go from here to here to here and until you're so insanely hungry that you're ready to eat anything. I think that's an issue that a lot of people who are new to this would experience. Because in our culture, we frankly shove food in our mouth or a caloric drink whenever we start to get a little bit of a hunger pang, especially now. It's never been that way historically. We've never had a grocery store at every street corner. 10,000 years ago, it wasn't that way. 1,000 years ago, it wasn't that way. 500 years ago, it wasn't that way, et cetera, et cetera. There were days where you had to go out and actually physically get what you were going to eat that day and gather and hunt and fish. And sometimes with the seasons or the weather, or just your particular luck for that day in your area, there may not have even been a meal for you. So that's why we have a kind of like a backup generator within us. So we have this ability to live off of our own stored fat, and that's the whole purpose for it. That is what we do here with OMAD, with intermittent fasting, with time-restricted eating. What we are doing is we are going into the shed and we are taking out some of that stored fuel, and we're actually using it, as opposed to just keep buying more and more and more and then just shoving a little bit more away like a hoarder into the storage shed, if you would. Sort of my analogy. But the main purpose of today's video was just to check in. I want to see how everybody is doing out there. I hope to get some good comments and some questions either emailed to me or posted down below to see if everybody is still with me and how they're doing, how it's going. For me, I've gotten into that sweet spot and that stride to where I don't miss the splurge days at all. And as I said, with this new job now, my schedule is so consistent that it makes doing this without splurging that much easier. So that is going well, and I hope it is going well for you. And I'm going to take the rest of this video to show you what I've been eating this week. I've just got some simple summer home meals. They're very, very simple, put together, and just a few components here and there for the busy professional that comes home and doesn't really want to put together a very elaborate meal. Kind of just buy a few groceries at home, some cheap stuff, but really tasty and healthy. Make it from scratch, make my own stuff. And the whole point is for you to see that, when people say, they ask me all the time, what do people eat on OMAD? It's whatever you can make a meal out of. And you'll see what I'm able to make a meal out of. And I'm going to keep posting more of these videos. This is going to be about a week's worth of video. I'm going to keep posting more of them so you get an idea of the type of meal that I can make for myself. And it depends on the situation I'm in. It depends on what's available. It depends on, am I going to a restaurant? What do I feel like eating? And what you're going to see is a severe lack of junk food making up a component of that. Although there are going to be some days where you're going to go out to a restaurant. So with that, let's start rolling what I've been eating this week. Okay, first up I have some homemade Chinese food. I have a homemade pineapple sesame chicken thighs in a sauce over steamed jasmine rice, some stir-fry vegetables. It had some peppers, we had some onions, some garlic, some snap peas, just a simple mixed green tossed salad. I had a banana, a little glass of wine, and not pictured here was a little slice of homemade strawberry pie. For my next meal, I had a small tuna salad sandwich. I had some of the leftover stir-fried vegetables from the previous meal, some Ritz crackers, a handful, looks like I got about 10 or so,
Another tossed salad. I make my own vinaigrettes at home, just a simple shallot, extra virgin olive oil, and red wine vinaigrette. And then for dessert, trying to finish up the last of this homemade strawberry pie. So I had a little slice of that as well. Okay, so next up I had some homemade gluten-free chicken tenders. I was going through the pantry and I saw I had some almond flour left over, so I made a breading out of that and pan fried with a little extra virgin olive oil some chicken tenders, and I put it over a salad. Had a few components in the salad. Had a little small handful of the sun chips, original flavored, on the side, which made up a nice plate. I had a banana, the last of that strawberry pie for dessert, which was homemade, and a glass of wine. I usually have a glass of wine a couple of days a week. I like red wine, usually Italian or French. You should really not be having any more than about, as a good rule of thumb, is about 6 ounces or so at a time, or in other words, you should be able to get 4 glasses of wine out of a bottle. I usually get about 5. I like a little bit smaller of a pour. But this was a nice outdoor meal on a nice warm summer night. So for my next meal, I had a little bit of a takeout. Over at my family's, we were swimming in the pool. It was a very, very hot and humid day that night. So for dinner, I had a good-sized slice of pepperoni pizza, a small handful of French fries, a few buffalo wings, and a really nice large Caesar salad. Just had some water with this meal, no alcohol at all. But this is a good idea of a portion control and eating sensibly when everyone around you is getting takeout or some form of fast food. Next up was a meal that was a little bit on the larger side, but I made some homemade wings. I had wings again. This time I just had a larger portion of them. So I had a small plate of some homemade buffalo wings, just a really good-sized bowl of a simple homemade, with homemade dressing, a tossed salad. Had another glass of wine, kind of hard to see in the picture here. A handful of shelled pistachios that had just a little bit of sea salt on them. And my wife grabbed me a little slice of chocolate cake as a little special treat dessert. Normally I don't buy desserts out or get them unless I make them personally, just as a general rule, but I mean, who can resist a piece of chocolate cake? And this is one of the great things about our way of eating, is that we can have a meal like this, we can have a component like this in our meal, and we're not cheating. We don't have to feel like, we don't have to feel bad for incorporating something like this into our daily meal. And lastly for this week, as you can see here, it was another takeout meal. It was a busy week, so I didn't get to do as much cooking as I would have liked to, but that's okay. And as you can see, there's a variety with these takeout meals too, and OMAD still works. That's the main takeaway I want you to get from this, is that OMAD still works whether or not you're making every single component of your meals, or if you're ordering out every once in a while. It's okay. So for the last meal I had this week, I had 2 pulled pork tacos, mostly just to try. I had a chicken and cheese enchilada with some green salsa verde that had a really good spice to it. A nice big pile of black beans, some Spanish rice, and off to the right there for dessert, I got myself a piece of flan. I ended up having about maybe half of that and then throwing it away. It just wasn't up to par of what I'm used to. I work with a lady who makes an absolutely amazing flan, and this was nowhere near that caliber. Rather disappointed with it, so yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's, the old me would have said, no, I'm going to eat this because I paid for it, or it's there, so I'm just going to have it. I at this point, when I was about halfway through with that, I was full. I didn't want to eat anymore, and it just wasn't giving me any sort of pleasure at all, so I decided to throw the rest out. But here's a great example of very colorful and very varied Mexican meal. And what I like to point out though is with these meals that I've had this week is there's varieties. There were a bunch of different things, most of which, all of which really you can make yourself at home. And the next time I post these, I'll be focusing more on some of the homemade meals that I make, but it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It doesn't have to all be homemade. OMAD fits into all situations. OMAD is very flexible, and it works no matter what situation you're in. So that's one of the takeaways that I want you to get from me posting these videos of food.
Well, there you have it. That is what I've been eating this week. As I've said before, they're very simple, very plain meals. Nothing too extravagant, but definitely something that I've been able to just throw together really quickly as a busy professional that comes home to two kids, and my wife also working about the same hours that I do. So it was be able to put together something really, really quick. It was the summertime. I was able to enjoy the pool and also eat and not have it take up too much of my time. And there'll be more of these videos to come, but that is going to be it for me for today. I thank you for watching. I'd love to hear some comments to see how your July challenge is going and what you like eating every single day. Leave those comments below. Email me. Whatever you have, whatever you want to do, I will respond to you as quick as I can. But that is it for me for today. I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you're having a great week. I hope the challenge is going well for you. I hope you're having a really great OMAD. And be well.